Hi guys, and welcome to the Norwich vs Sunderland match review, where Sunderland have just got away with a point. They got away with a 0-0 draw at Carrow Road, in which was probably one of the worst performances I've seen in recent times with Sunderland, and that's including the Coventry 3-0 defeat. I know there's been other games where we've conceded or we'd lost, but that first half for me was absolutely abhorrent. It was shocking and it was embarrassing. It was, not just because Norwich played all right, because I did think they played all right. They played okay. I don't think they were anything particularly special, but it was such a half-assed performance and probably the closest you could get to a team genuinely not even trying you could possibly get. It was infuriating, and I felt so sorry for the travelling fans that went there tonight, because for a good 65, 70 minutes, it was just a team that were clueless, that had no plan, and it was a team that were just thrown together to try and get minutes under different players' belts with seemingly no plan attached to that, and that was absolutely evident on the pitch. It was just garbage, and I'm not going to go too in-depth of the game because there wasn't enough for me to delve into, because there's only so many times I can repeat myself, and there's only so many times I can see and watch and have to bear witness to Patterson, O'Nien and Mepham in that first half in particular, as I say, do that same triangle over and over and over again, and then eventually lose it. The only occasional change in that same triangle was when Dan Neil would come pick it up. And Dan Neil, who has been rumoured to be interested or is gaining the interest of Everton this week, you'd be forgiven if you thought he'd signed for fucking Norwich. That's how bad he was, particularly in that first half. And with no exaggerating, I'm absolutely certain, or nearly certain, that every single one of his passes in that first half went straight to a Norwich man. Like I said, all we did is everyone else walking around off the ball, do those stupid little triangles between Pato, Mepham and O'Nien, and again Dan Neil coming in every now and then to pick it up off the back, but then he would turn straight into danger and give it straight to a Norwich man, or try and take on a Norwich man on the edge of his own box, which would result in Norwich having a strike. And again, Norwich, they're a decent team. Their press was okay, but my God, because our tempo was so piss poor, it made their press look so much better than it was. Do you know what I mean? If anyone moved off the ball, we'd be able to play it around him, but we didn't. We walked around, and like I said, we had Yelder at left back, who was, again, he was awful. It sounds like I'm going to pick up everyone here, and I easily could, but Yelder, so many poor touches that would lead to him, in terms of trying to recover the ball after a poor touch. It'd be a foul. There was just no sort of connection with it. No one was on the same wavelength within the side, because it was such a mishmash 11, because you've got Alexic, who, by the way, I will say, Rodgers has managed that poor lad horribly, because he's not even been getting time in the youth setup. He's been sat on the bench. He hasn't even been getting the odd minute here and there. And then out of nowhere, Reggie says, we need to start giving players minutes. We need to some other players getting tired. And now you chuck him on the pitch from the off, the young lad, and not even in his position. You're playing right wing, which he is not a winger at all. So you've got Alexic out there who's running around like a headless chicken, and he was just as good as a chocolate fire guard, and he was piss poor as well. And again, it's 0-0 with pretty much guaranteed playoffs with this. But these reviews on me talked about that isolated performance, and it was shocking. Every time Alexis did get the ball, it would just kick it in front of him and run. It was like watching a headless chicken. But I can't give him, and I don't want to give him too much shit, because again, he's been mismanaged horribly, that lad. Watson was on the left hand side, the lad who is now being confirmed to go into Brighton. We thought he would just kind of be left in to sit on the bench or do whatever. I wasn't sure whether we would be playing him. I personally don't really want him to be playing. He didn't seem particularly interested tonight, or very good, but again, neither did the rest of the lads. So I think Norwich had about 6 or 7 chances in that first half. A couple of them really decent chances as well. And it was all from our own making as well. It was all just passing it straight to him in a dangerous position and just doing that time and time again, all whilst everyone else just walks around, not giving a shit. At half-time, we had 0 shots, 0 corners, 0 nothing, 0 willpower. And I just thought, I really feel for those away fans. And I thought he needs to at least make a change or two in the second half, but Rodgers deemed it an acceptable performance and continued with the same 11 that was on the pitch. But then I think it was about 65 minutes, maybe 70, maybe even a bit earlier, I'm not too sure. We did ring the changes and all the suspects that I needed off the pitch personally, and I did Watson off, Yelder off, and Alexis off, and we brought on Lefay, we brought on Isidore, we brought on Roberts as well. Brown tucked in at right back, Humu pushed over as well. Onto the other side, and immediately, I'm not going to say we were amazing, but it's almost basically stood a chance, because it wasn't just a load of lads just chucked together and just hope that we can get a bit of game time under the belts. Do you know what I mean? Of course, Job didn't start today's game. I believe it's just a precautionary measure, and he should be fine for the next game. He's just been rested. But yeah, since we did get Lefay on, and the one shining light, in which is why he's here, Lefay was the shining light. And he was down the centre as well, which I love to see. He had Mayenda on the left-hand side, Roberts on the right, trying to threaten on each side. And at times we were just queuing up on the edge of the box and we just didn't pull the trigger. Mayenda got in once or twice in behind, and he's kind of rushed his shot, and instead of pulling it back, he smashed it into the side netting, and we were actually starting to make chances. But like I said, going back to Lefay, he grew into it. He really did grow into it, and he started to dictate the ball. Everything was bouncing off him. Everyone would just give it into Lefay before he'd knock it on to the next man. He'd been moving it quickly, and he was constantly finding the little holes. But then on the flip side, as soon as there was any space in front of him, he would go into it and he'd run into it and he'd ask questions, something that no one did all afternoon or all evening, should I say. So that was a real positive with Lefay there, and I'm hoping, leading into the playoffs, of course, we need to look after Lefay because he has had his injury. But it's good now we're starting to see him in his actual position, and the more time he gets in that role, the more we will get the best out of him, and the more sharp he's going to be, and we're going to get the best Enzo Lefay possible. Now, again, apologies, this has been largely negative review, but I'm not going to sit here just because we've sealed the deal with playoffs, which we have done for the best part of 2 or 3 months, essentially. I don't want to be seeing performances like this heading into the playoffs. I don't want to see us sleepwalking into the playoffs and thinking it's okay to put out these kind of performances and just, it felt like a throwaway game almost immediately, and that is shocking, and it's unacceptable, regardless of where we are in the league or what have you. It felt almost disrespectful the way Rodgers set up that lineup today. Just, it was just quite literally, it's not Football Manager. You can't just chuck players on and just, I haven't seen him for a couple of months. I haven't even given him any minutes, but he needs a bit of time. So we'll do that now. We can do it because we've sealed the playoffs. We have played an X amount of time. He can start. You can't do that to players because it just brings out utter garbage, shite performances like we saw tonight. But yeah, we need Joe back. I think we should. Of course, there's going to be a level of trying to take care of players. Like I said, with Lefay, maybe not immediately starting him in the middle for the rest of the games, but he's going to need some continuity. He's going to need some sharpness. You can't just keep on holding on to players for the last 20 minutes who you are going to use in the playoffs. You need them to be sharp. You need them to have some game time and some momentum. I know you're trying to protect them from injuries and what have you, but it's just the aim of the game. That's what you have to do. So I'm hoping next time out, he isn't going to start fucking around with players like Alexis on the right and Watson on the left. I know we've got injuries, but I just think there's a lot better we could have done there. You've got Rigg, who ideally, I don't like Rigg on the right-hand side personally, but he's played there several times this season. For the first half of the season, he was essentially our right winger, wasn't he, Chris Rigg, for large parts anyway. So when he's on the pitch, why wouldn't you put Alexis in the middle where he should play? He plays as a 10, and put Rigg on the right where he's played loads of times this season. There was just a load of baffling decisions that just shot us in the foot, and for seemingly no reason at all tonight. So I'm sure we'll get the same old interview from Rodgers saying there's loads of experiences we'll learn from, and we'll learn from this and we'll learn from that. But there's just little things that we're just not learning from, and we got away with a 0-0 draw here tonight, which we probably didn't deserve because it was that shit. But yeah, again, apologies, very negative, but that's just what I do. The performance, it's an isolated performance review, and tonight's performance was shit. It was really, really worrying, but we got away with it. Either way, let us know down below what you thought. My man of the match would probably be Lefay. Oh, in fact, no, I lie. I'm going to give it to Pato. Sorry. I nearly went then and didn't give him any credit because I know that there's been points at this season where he has been on my shit list, but last couple of games he's been all right, and today he was probably the only player that I actually thought, right, okay, he's actually having a half-decent game here. So I will give that to Pato, and he'll probably be my man of the match in what was a torrid display. But yeah, anyway, let us know what you thought of the game down below. Hit the like button on the video for me. It'd be massively appreciated. If you're new, subscribe. But for now, take care. Stay jammy. Away the lads. Keep the faith. Away.